Good Tuesday morning. I'm Father Steve from St. Bridget Hermitage, and this is Moments with the Master. Today is the 23rd day of May 2023, and our readings today come from the book of Acts, chapter 20, verses 17 through 27, Psalms 68, verses 10 through 21, and also the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 17, verses 1 through 11. Well, folks, I hope it's a great day for you. I hope it's going to be a great week. I hope that all of you enjoy the blessings that the Lord has in store for you. You know, it's always been my custom to give you that gentle prod, that nudge to keep up on your scripture reading, your prayer life, meditations, reading reflections, all those things. I always tell you, be strong in the Lord for the day of trouble. Well, there's another reason. The other reason is I think that all of you, all the followers of Christ, are called to be a leader. Maybe not a pastor, a priest, a deacon, maybe not an elder, maybe not even a Sunday school teacher, but a leader maybe in your homes, your families, your circle of friends, your at work, at church, at school, what have you. Leaders. I think God has called all of us to be leaders. You know, we think of our faith communities as being ours. We go to parish so-and-so. We belong to this or that church. But remember, folks, our church, our parish, our fellowship halls, they don't belong to us. Those belong to the Lord. He is the chief shepherd. Christ the chief shepherd, and we are his sheep. But some of the sheep are called to be leaders. We're called to care for God's people. We're called to care for the flock. Now, it could be the entire church flock. It could be just a little Bible study flock. But we're called to tend to one another. You know, maybe not shepherds of the church. Maybe more like sheepdogs. And I don't mean that in the negative. You know, sheepdogs are extremely important to the shepherd. You know, he brings that sheep back when they stray. You know, he goes and he protects the sheep when they get in danger. So whether you're a shepherd or you're a sheepdog, and I often call myself a sheepdog, the bishop's sheepdog. I don't think that's a negative connotation. So even though we may speak of our faith communities as ours, remember, understand it, that it's the Lord's flock. And we're called to oversee the Lord's flock. And there's always going to be a balance between the leadership and those of you who enjoy their time in the pews. You know, I don't want to bring a negative on anybody in any capacity they serve the Lord, because it's a great thing. You know, I don't care if you're the pastor or just a Sunday school teacher or just the janitor or whatever it is. Folks, first things first. Whatever we do for our faith community, let's do it in love. Let's do it with a single eye to care for God's people. We're all in service of the great shepherd. Remember, Matthew 20:26. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And I don't care who you are. If you're a servant of the Lord in any capacity, always remember, you're doing it for the Lord, not for accolations, not for that pat on the back. Christ taught his disciples not to emulate the rulers and the Gentiles, you know, the ones who had authority at that time in Palestine. You know, he taught them to be servant leaders. And to be a servant leader takes a lot of effort, a lot of conscious effort. You know, it just doesn't happen. So as always, your practical priest has a number of little one-liners here. I want to not push on you, just gentle prods to think about. You know, think of point one. Leaders I don't care what level, are patient with everyone, regardless of their capacity. So if you're the chief groundskeeper at your parish, your church, what have you, think about it. Those people working for you, working with you, they may not all have that capacity. They may not all be as good as you. So remember, be patient. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 14 says, "And we urge you, brothers, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all." Leaders always passionate about lifting people up, always lifting people up and trying to get them to their full capacity, their full potential. We want everybody to be on board with whatever we're doing, whether that's from the pulpit or whether that's any other capacity in the church. Leaders will always, number two, will always lift other people up. Philippians 2, 3 and 4 reads, "Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind. Let each esteem others as better than themselves. Let each of you look out for the interest, not his own interest, but the interest of the others." Remember, as leaders, we're to build people up. That's our role. I don't care what position you have in leadership. Think of others. We need our flock's interests are more important than our own. 3. Good leaders are careful of their own actions. Luke 6:31 says, "Treat others the same way you want them to treat you." So, leaders, let's be conscious of our actions. We need to understand, what? You might be a Sunday school teacher, but your actions could have a great impact on whoever you're teaching. Positive actions are contagious, but so are negative ones. So we're going to be called to act with integrity in whatever we do. 4, leaders do not listen to hearsay. And this is a biggie, folks. This is a real big one, especially for church people. 2 Timothy 2:15 and 16 reads, "Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker that does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun the profane and the idle babbling, for they will increase to more ungodliness." Folks, I don't care where you're at, and we all have seen it before, whether it's school, our jobs, and sadly, really bad here is the church. Backstabbing and gossiping. I did a couple of sermons a couple months ago about this. A lot of times they become commonplace, and we got to root out the problems in our faith communities. If we allow these practices, it's just going to grow stronger. It's going to grow a negative culture. It's what we don't want to happen. So, folks, we don't listen to hearsay. We stop it when we hear it. Going along with that, leaders are careful about what they say. Proverbs 21:23 reads, "Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from trouble." Okay, it's really important for leaders from top to bottom, for anybody, and again, not even just leaders, everybody in the church. Know that words can make or break people. So think carefully before you speak. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, a lot of times. Remember to weigh your words, folks, because your words once spoken are seldom forgotten. You can't unring the bell. All the sorries in the world aren't going to replace the damage you could do. It's going to be, I can't stress this one enough for leaderships. I don't care if you're a leader in your church, a leader at work, a leader at school, a leader in your fraternity. What you say says everything about you. Remember that. Okay, next point. Leadership should be more about the mission and not ourselves. 1 Peter 4:11 instructs us, "Whoever speaks as one who speaks oracles of God, whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. As shepherds, we need to be aware of the distractions and the pitfalls of the world. Like I said before, gossip, judgmentalism, narrow-minded, all those things. We're called to be an example. We got to contribute to the building up of the community, building up of the faith, building up of the brethren. Unity means a lot. It's going to be one of those things. If it gets out of hand, it can't be undone most times. Okay, next, think about this. Leadership should be humble like Moses. Numbers 12:3 reads, "Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth." Moses was a humble man, and God used him because of humility, and he did marvelous works because of his humility. Leaders, it would be well for us to exercise humility. Look yourself in the mirror. Know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Next, great leaders promote others. This is really important in leadership. Daniel 2:48 reads, "Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts. He made him a ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon." Leaders, good leaders, honor and promote others, especially if they've made a mark. Even if those people have different lifestyles, different mindsets, different skill sets than themselves, what matters are things of integrity, the ability to achieve goals, the ability to be an upright and just person. That's what should be required. Too often people worry about being outshone. You know what? Don't worry about what other people are doing. If they're better for the job, then they should be promoted. They should be their agenda should be promoted. It's about God's work, not our own egos. Folks, it's one of those things that can make or break a faith community. All right. And leaders have to be more than willing to talk. They have to be more than willing to just sit back and point fingers. 1 Peter 5:2 and 4 reads, "Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care. Watch over them, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be, not pursuing dishonest gain, but eagerly to serve, not lording over those who are entrusted to you, but be an example to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive a crown of glory that will never fade away." Okay, folks, strong leaders must be willing to get their hands dirty, take responsibility for their flock's outcome. True leaders need to step up regardless of your leadership style. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to show your team how it's done. That means first in, last out. Remember this: good leaders will take responsibility for their flaws and their actions. Great leaders will take responsibility for the people that they promoted and they put into leadership. So folks, it's all by example. If you don't lead by example, what kind of example are you exhibiting to your congregation? Well, folks, that's my reflections for today on leadership. I hope you found them useful. I hope that none of you saw yourselves in the negative. Go out there today, be great sheep, great shepherds, and some of y'all be great sheepdogs. It's been Father Steve, St. Bridget Hermitage. I wish you the best. May God bless and keep you. May the Lord hold you in the palm of his hand till we meet again.